Hi, Michael, clinical psychologist at Grove Psychology, doing another Tuesday book club. This time we are looking at the subtle art of not giving a F. Let's get past the title, which is more of a gimmick, and actually think about what's in the book. And there's some really interesting ideas in there. Today we're talking about comparison and who you compare yourself to. And in the book, the author Mark Manson gives an example of a successful guitarist. I won't go into the full story because it's quite long, but essentially this guitarist, Dave Mustaine, was in a band, and just as they were about to sign their first contract, he was kicked out. He decided that he wanted to be better than that band, created his own band, Megadeth, and went on to be very, very successful. But the band he was kicked out of was Metallica. And so in his eyes, he was a failure. So the passage I want to share today is around that comparison. Then I'll talk a little bit about how we do that in our lives. So he says here, we're apes. We think we're all sophisticated with our toaster ovens and designer footwear, but we're just a bunch of finely ornamented apes. And because we're apes, we instinctually measure ourselves against others and vie for status. The question is not whether we evaluate ourselves against others. Rather, the question is by what standard do we measure ourselves? So, in his example, the guitarist Mustaine considers himself a failure because his measure of success is beating Metallica, which, one of the biggest selling rock bands in the world. Very, very difficult to compare yourself to that. But we do this in our lives. We are built to compare ourselves to others because we want to be part of a group. Being part of a group means safety. So our brain is constantly looking to make sure that we're not doing things either differently that would put us outside of the group, or we're looking to be part of the group, comparing our status to making sure that we're doing better. So some of this is a little bit about how we are as human beings. The problem is nowadays we have so many things to compare ourselves with. Social media, we always see the successful stories on there. If you look on Instagram, all the perfect pictures, those types of things, they're the things that we see that we compare ourselves to. And then our lower mood comes from not being good enough, not being able to be better than those things. So the question is then, who am I comparing myself to? Is that a good enough, is that a reasonable comparison? If I'm comparing myself to someone on social media who has 10,000 followers and I have 200, is that useful? If I'm comparing myself to a famous tennis player and I play amateur tennis on a Sunday, is that a useful comparison? Well, probably not, and you're going to probably feel very bad about yourself as a result. And these are just some extreme examples, but we do this a lot in our lives. So the issue here is more about, if you're comparing yourself, one, is it reasonable? Two, does it really matter what other people do? And if you see in our other videos, we talked about the courage to be disliked, which is about separation of tasks. That's their task, and your task is to be the best person you can possibly be within your own skill set. So the issue here is more about, if I'm comparing, maybe I can compare within myself. Am I putting in the amount of effort that I would think is appropriate? Am I living my life by my values? Am I seeing improvement on what the things that I'm trying to work on? Am I really giving my best shot? Doesn't matter if it's not as good as somebody else. And the reality is, there's going to be someone better than you at what you do. But are you improving? Are you giving your best shot? Are you working to your highest level of potential? Because at the end of the day, if you can compare yourself to that, then you can get a measure of happiness. If you compare yourself to other people, particularly higher level people, you're more likely to be put off, give up, sad, upset, those sorts of feelings. So I hope that was useful. We'll come back next Tuesday. Thanks, bye.